beautiful Saturday afternoon in New York, and Mets fans crowding into Citi Field, hoping to see the Mets rebound from a loss last night. At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball today. The Mets play the Boston Red Sox. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you today as the Mets and Red Sox play the middle game of their series. Mets lost last night 6-4, but Travis d'Arnaud stayed hot, drove in 2 more runs. d'Arnaud will move into the cleanup spot for Terry Collins today. 20 games off the disabled list for d'Arnaud. Took him a while to get started, but he's really cooking now.
Well, he's made a slight adjustment in his stance, if you notice. We noticed it last night. Left is the old d'Arnaud. You notice his hands were much forward in his stance. Now the second pitcher here on the right, hands are much further back in the hitting position, and boy has it paid off. He has hit a 6-game hitting streak right now, has hit 4 home runs in his last 9 ball games. He has driven in a run, at least 1 run in his last 6 games, 11 total. So he's been red hot. He's a line drive hitter. He's been a very warm welcome since coming off the DL. And
using the whole field right now, so d'Arnaud will be behind the plate for Jacob deGrom, who tries to rebound from what was his worst start of his career his last time out.
2 2/3, 7 runs, 3 home runs. Well, you know what? You're the ace of the staff. Your team had a 7-game winning streak broken last night. He's the man to go here and get him back on the winning track.
On the other side for the Red Sox, the former Cardinal Joe Kelly, who finally seems to have hit his stride with Boston.
Well, he was sent down in late June, got recalled in late July. Since then, 7 starts. He's 5-1. He's currently on a 5-game winning streak. Has pitched very well since coming back from the minor leagues.
Trying to become the first Red Sox pitcher to win 6 games in a calendar month since Pedro Martinez did it for Boston. It's the Mets and Red Sox from Citi Field. All the action on Pix 11. At the Hyundai Labor Day sales event for incredible deals on the 2015 Hyundai Sonata. By Verizon Fios, now there's a totally new way to customize your TV only from Verizon Fios. By the Acura, it's that kind of summer event. By Royal Caribbean, the only way to Caribbean is with Royal Caribbean. By Cigna, together all the way. And by the Volkswagen Model Year sales event. Themes to the game brought to you by the Hyundai Labor Day sales event.
And how appropriate with the beginning of the U.S. Open next week. Ace deGrom, we talked about him. We need him to come back and stop this small losing streak of 1 game. Advantage S. Cespedes has just been phenomenal. And smash. Well, the Mets have been hitting a lot of home runs. They didn't hit a home run last night. First time in a while.
Is that add in or add out?
It's, well, that's a good point. Let me think on that.
Follow the Mets wherever you are with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Mets and Red Sox at Citi Field. Jacob deGrom's first pitch coming right up.
We direct your attention to the pitcher's mound for today's ceremonial first pitch. He ranks as one of the greatest players in tennis history, having captured 7 Grand Slam singles championships, 8 doubles titles, and 1 mixed doubles title. Right here in all the action for this year's U.S. Open. Right across the street, please welcome John McEnroe. John, it's your pitch.
And beyond. David Ortiz came out of the lineup last night with heel tightness. He's out. Ryan Hanigan was supposed to catch today. Usually catches Joe Kelly, but he's got a tight calf. So Blake Swihart, who had the go-ahead home run last night, is back in there again.
And there's your starting Metsy pitcher, Jacob deGrom, coming off really his worst start of the season in Philadelphia, where he got rocked. So unusual to see that. Looking to bounce back. Everybody gets hammered, even Tom Seaver did. You all know that, Met fans out there. And we'll take a look at the Kia Mets defense, brought to you by Kia. Sign it and drive it sales event. Conforto, the right-hander, in left field. Flores at shortstop. Tejada sits down today. Kelly Johnson at second base. Murph back at first. And we talked about d'Arnaud red hot behind the plate.
And David Wright, with the day off today, expects to be back in the lineup tomorrow after playing 2 extra inning games in a row.
Beautiful shot right there on a beautiful afternoon.
Shadows is certainly going to play a role with a 4 o'clock start on a sunny day. You can see the light stanchion already casting shadows across the third base line. As deGrom's first pitch on the way, it's taken for a strike by Mookie Betts, and we're underway. Betts 1 for 5 last night. He's been a hot hitter, 13 RBIs in his last 17 games out of the leadoff spot. See that, 59 RBIs for the year. And deGrom misses away at 97 miles an hour. Ball and a strike, and we're happy to report that the radar gun is fully operational tonight, right from the start.
So all you conspiracy theorists.
Pablo Sandoval on deck. And a fastball strike to Betts, and it's 1-2.
3 straight fastballs poured into the strike zone. Betts got a double. His lone hit was part of that 3-run 10th inning that won the game for Boston.
deGrom working quickly. Fastball grounded out to Kelly Johnson. He makes the play on Betts for the first out of the day. So deGrom has come out firing after a start in Philadelphia that was anything but productive for him. He had an excuse, although he didn't want to use it. He had been sick as a dog the night before with some food poisoning, had to have an IV as late as 24 hours later. But he was unhappy that that news got out. Didn't want to make any excuses for what was the worst start of his career. He walked the leadoff batter in that game, gave up 3 home runs in 2 2/3 innings. Here's Pablo Sandoval 0 for 3 last night, and his first curveball gets a swinging strike.
And his first curveball is off the table. Wicked.
If we've learned anything about Jacob deGrom over the last year or so, he is a wildly competitive pitcher when he gets on the mound, and he would like to erase any doubts after that poor last start.
You took the words out of my mouth, Garrett.
And he strikes out Sandoval on 3 pitches for the second out.
Up and in, gas. He is very determined when he has a bad outing. And really, the Cubs have been the only thorn in deGrom's side. He's had 2 bad starts against the Cubs. Back on August 1st against Washington, remember, he gave up 2 runs in the first inning and struggled through 6, wound up throwing 5 straight scoreless after that. And kind of struggled at Tampa Bay, but still threw well.
Here's Xander Bogaerts, who had a very impressive night last night. 2 for 5 at the plate. Looked terrific in the field. Really saved Junichi Tsuzawa's bacon in the 10th inning on what could have been a wild throw on a double play. And a good breaking ball by deGrom to get ahead 0-2.
This is what aces are all about, and I know we're not out of the first inning, but deGrom has come out really in focus and sharp.
0-2 to Bogaerts. Off the corner. 1-2. deGrom going for his 13th win this afternoon. First time he's ever faced the Red Sox. And Bogaerts just got a piece to stay alive. Keith mentioned the starts against the Cubs. After that first start in Chicago in mid-May, up until that last start in Philadelphia, deGrom had gone 16 starts with a 1.44 ERA. Just an absolutely dominant stretch of half a year. 1-2 coming, and the curveball bounced foul. Bogaerts has a 9-game hitting streak working, 2nd year in the big leagues, and he has really blossomed. 4th in the American League in batting, hitting .316 for the year. Just 22 years old. 1-2 in the air to right. Granderson flips the glasses, finds the baseball, side retire. 1-2-3 opening inning for Jacob deGrom. Let's go to work against Joe Kelly in the bottom of the first when we come back. Here's your Mets starting lineup today, brought to you by Land Rover Above and Beyond. Day off for David Wright, so Travis d'Arnaud slides into the cleanup spot for just the third time this season. Juan Uribe gets the start at third base. Kelly Johnson at second. Daniel Murphy at first. Michael Conforto in there against the right-hander, and that right-hander is hard-throwing Joe Kelly.
5-game winning streak. Came over in that trade last year in end of July with Alan Craig from the Cardinals. And the Cardinals got John Lackey in return.
And Lackey's been terrific for St. Louis. Here's Granderson, who takes strike. Curtis 0 for 3 last night, but he walked 3 times, including once in the 10th inning with the bases loaded when the Mets were trying to rally against Tozawa. And Kelly pops the inside corner, and it's 0-2.
Another productive Met right here in Curtis.
Mets walked 12 times last night, but came up a couple of runs shy. It's not often you walk 12 times and lose. So the starter last night, Henry Owens, walked 4, but gave up just 1 earned run.
You usually leave a lot of men on base, and the Mets certainly did that last night. They left 14 on base.
Second straight night the Mets have had 14 left on base. They won the Thursday night game in Philly in extra innings and then lost last night. 1-2 to Granderson with Cespedes on deck. And Curtis leans back. 2-2.
Curtis has driven in 20 runs in his last 24 games in the month of August.
Red Sox do not employ the full shift against Curtis with a hard thrower on the mound. And he pulls one to right field. Over the head of the right fielder, Bradley, and up against the wall. And Granderson pulls in at second base with a leadoff double. 28th double of the year for Curtis Granderson gets the Mets started.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Curtis can play. It took him a year and a half to get comfortable over here in the Met uniform and in the National League, but he's a player. He comes and plays hard every day, and he has just done a phenomenal job the last month and a half, 2 months.
It's now 51 extra base hits for Granderson. So he's on second with nobody on. Now Yoenis Cespedes, who went 0 for 4 with a couple of walks last night. Cespedes playing center field tonight. 23 RBIs as a Met, most he's ever had in a calendar month in the major leagues. Playing against one of his former teams, and takes a strike from Kelly. Daniel Murphy hitting third in the order, waiting on deck.
Well, in the 25 games that Cespedes has played in the Met uniform, he's driven in 23. Boy, you'll take that.
84 runs batted in for the year. 63 extra base hits for Cespedes. And he gets jammed and fouls it off. To a rip-roaring start as a Met. Remember John Buck had that great first month of the season.
Yes, I do.
And he has the all-time Mets record for most RBIs with his first 25 games.
The problem is you have to forget about the May and the June.
Well, then they traded him to Pittsburgh, and they made the good deal. Got back Dilson Herrera and Vic Black. Hopefully Black at some point will be productive. Here's the 0-2. And Cespedes takes up and away. Joe Kelly 2 years ago was a terrific pitcher for the Cardinals. They used him as a starter and a reliever that year. He went 10-5 with a 2.69 ERA. Traded him last year at the deadline, and in 2 years with Boston, his earned run average is 4.80. And it's just over the last month that he's finally had some success with Boston. In fact, he's won 5 games in August. Fastball misses away at 2-2. Kelly in August is 5-0, 3.03. Last time a Red Sox pitcher won 6 games in a month, Pedro Martinez in 1999. And that's what Kelly's trying to do tonight. 2-2 to Cespedes with Murphy on deck. Kelly now 27 years old. In fact, he is 10 days older than Jacob deGrom. Both born in June of 1988. Now the 2-2. The slider hit out to right center. That'll advance Granderson. Bradley over to get it. Granderson heads for third. And Bradley's throw well offline. So a productive out for Cespedes. Granderson at third with one out.
Well, red hot Daniel Murphy. I mean, it's just it's like a hit parade playing down the top 10 on the radio. I mean, everybody in this ballpark has been wearing it out, and Daniel has certainly been one of those. He's been torrid the last 24 games.
Hitting .337 in the month of August with 20 runs batted in, trying to pick up Granderson from third, and the Red Sox will give it to him. They've got the infield back. I'm not sure, having watched Jacob deGrom in the first inning, if I were Torey Lovullo, that I'd play my infield back.
Well, yes, I hear you, Gare. What interests me is the defense on Murph. Look at that straight away. When Murph has rediscovered left field, and now you cannot shift, play one way. It opens up the gaps for you.
Really works him away with a changeup 1-1.
Murph's been impressive on the last road trip with the 3 bullets down the left field line. A ball's on the outside corner. That's the kind of hitter Murph is, and he kind of tends to want to pull a little bit. But right now he's raging hot. He's hitting the ball where it's pitched. Really a tough out.
And Kelly hits the inside corner, and it's 1-2. John Tumpane, the home plate umpire today, the youngest member of this umpiring team. Travis d'Arnaud hitting cleanup today, waiting on deck. Kelly needing a strikeout. Not a big strikeout pitcher, 7.5 per 9 innings.
It's funny that you say that. In today's game, you know, when we were growing up as kids, 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings was good.
Yeah, the game has changed in that regard.
And a lot of it because the hitters strike out more.
Well, not Murph. Murph has been the second toughest hitter in the National League to strike out this year. Only Andrelton Simmons of the Braves has been a tougher strikeout. Going to get the ball in play here to get a run home. 2-2 from Kelly. And Murph just got a piece of that to stay alive.
Well, Murph is always chatty with the umpires, and nothing wrong with that. But he's hitting very clutch late in games. And during this break here, we'll get the Kia Red Sox defense, brought to you by Kia. Sign it and drive it sales event. I missed the outfield, but you saw it. Sandoval, Travis Shaw, Ortiz on the bench today. Blake Swihart, a late insertion in the lineup, but Big Papi not in the lineup tonight.
Interesting thing about Swihart catching. Ryan Hannigan scratched with a tight cap. Hannigan has been catching Kelly recently while he's been successful, but not today. Too far inside to Murphy. 3-2. 96 from Kelly.
A lot of times when you stand close to the plate and Murph's right on top, pitchers don't like that and have a hard time throwing that inside strike. If they can't, that's a big plus for the hitter. Murph, got to look at the bat. He's covering that outside corner.
3-2 coming. And again, he just got a piece to foul it off. So Murphy with a tough turn at bat here against Kelly, who has really pitched him very well, but has not been able to put him away. Nats won't be doing any scoreboard watching this afternoon. The Nats don't play till tonight against Miami with Jordan Zimmerman on the mound.
Well, I guarantee you they are at the ballpark in Washington watching this game until they have to go out and hit.
Nats lost last night to stay 6.5 behind. 8th pitch of the at bat coming to Murphy, and he pulls one foul. Nice grab.
Nice on the ricochet.
Gotta be alert.
Well done.
Another huge crowd at Citi Field. We had over 39,000 last night. Kelly working hard in this first inning.
Well, the hitters are making him work hard.
Facing his third batter, about to throw his 20th pitch. Granderson at third and one out. swinging.
Change up.
So Kelly needing a strikeout against a tough man to fan. Strikes him out nonetheless.
Well, just got fooled on the changeup. The sinking change. It was a ball. Hey, you can't get a hit every time up, no matter how hot you are.
So 2 out. Granderson still at third, and now Travis d'Arnaud hitting cleanup for just the 3rd time this year. But why not the way he's been going? He's driven in a run in 6 straight games. Looking for the 2-out hit to make it 7. And he takes the breaking ball off the plate for ball 1. d'Arnaud up to 279 on the year. Kelly Johnson on deck, and d'Arnaud has the highest slugging percentage on the team now, 544 slugging.
Granted, d'Arnaud has only played in, this is his 40th start of the season. And there you see what he's been doing the last 6 games, been on fire. I mean, if you do the numbers, he's got 150, almost 150 at bats and 9 home runs.
And 30 RBIs.
Yes.
Project that out over 600 at bats. That's 120 RBIs.
Exactly.
He's been an extremely productive hitter. Took him a week to 10 days to get it going after coming back from the DL, but he's been scorching ever since.
And there's that new stance of his, not stance, where his positioning of his hands. He likes to hold that bat, the barrel over his head. Okay, that's fine. We showed you in the open. Those of you that missed it, hey, you missed one of the best opens in history. He's got his hands more set and back in the hitting position. Before, he used to have them where the E and the Mets were. Is on his bat. Now look, his hands are further back, and he's got that almost that Julio Franco way he holds the bat over the top of his head. It's less take back, quicker to get the bat squared up to the ball. I'll get contemporary.
Never.
Oh.
3-1 from Kelly to d'Arnaud, and he walked him. Red Sox pitchers walked 12 last night, and it certainly looked as though Kelly was being very careful with d'Arnaud.
Yeah, it was ugly last night with the Red Sox bullpen. My goodness. It was painful to watch.
Troy Lavelle ended up using every reliever last night. Used 8 pitchers in all to finally secure the win. So this is a day when both starters need to go deep. Both these bullpens are very taxed. Back to the point with the Mets where they're going to have Bartolo Colon available in the bullpen today.
And I think that Bartolo will be fine with that.
Here's Kelly Johnson, 0 for 1 last night coming off the bench. And Kelly misses low and in.
And obviously Bartolo will be a long reliever to chew up innings in the middle. The perfect world for Terry Collins and the Mets. DeGrom goes out there and is brilliant and gives the bullpen a complete rest.
Or at least gets them through 7 where they can get right to Clippard and Familia.
8.
That's even better. 9. 1-0 to Johnson. A good changeup by Kelly. A ball and a strike.
We sound like our producer Gerard. We're counting forward, instead of backwards.
We're much calmer.
We're much better. Gerard gets a little excited when that counting you out a commercial.
People get nervous around you. You know that?
No.
Another good changeup by Kelly. 2 in a row.
Good.
Same pitch he used to strike out Murphy. Now he's had on Johnson.
Well, it's a good pitch, particularly against the left-handers. Nice sink to it. He throws hard. He's been throwing 94, 95, 96. He pitches inside. I don't know about the mustache, but everything else looks good.
1-2 to Kelly. And that sails up and away. 2-2. Well, you're the expert. You know, not that many people are qualified to comment on upper lip facial hair, but you know, you've got the gravitas. So it's going to be a 30-pitch inning at least for Kelly. 2-2 to Johnson, first and third, 2 out. And strikes him out with a changeup to end the inning. So Joe Kelly able to work himself out of big-time first inning trouble. And the Mets strand 2 after 1, no score. Scoreless innings for DeGrom and Kelly achieved very differently. A dominant 1-2-3 inning for DeGrom, a laborious 30-pitch inning for Kelly. The result the same. No score as we start the second. Travis Shaw leads off against DeGrom. Shaw getting the start at first base today. David Ortiz started last night, came out of the game with left heel tightness.
Never heard that before. That's a new one.
Shaw off to a great start in his big league career. Pops one foul. Darno back for a look, but that's out of play. It's a little puzzling that Travis Shaw has gotten off to this start, and it certainly has the Red Sox attention. But in 77 games in AAA this year, he hit just .249 with 5 home runs.
Well, his first year in the minor leagues was 2004, Gary. That's 10 years in the minor leagues. Career .215 hitter. I got the wrong guy? Yes, I do.
1-2 to Shaw. Now, he was drafted in 2011.
I got the wrong guy. I'm sorry. Yeah. The wind blew my paper during commercial.
No wonder the producer yells at you. Still 1-2 to Shaw.
So my correction, I stand corrected. A lifetime .263 hitter in the minor leagues, starting in 2011.
Big guy, 6'4", 225, came out of Kent State. This is with the changeup, 2-2. Shadows starting to encroach.
Not quite advantage pitcher yet.
Curveball. Gets Shaw. The changeup.
Good change. Got it away. Got a little up. If you want to be perfect here in a perfect world, DeGrom would want it on the knees, but he got it on the outside corner. There's a shadow.
Still dealing with light stanchion shadows. It's when you get that big grandstand shadow that it starts to become a bigger issue. Here's Brock Holt playing second base. 0 for 4 last night. Coming in while Dustin Pedroia, who's been out for the better part of 2 months, is down with a hamstring injury. They're hoping to have Pedroia back in a couple of weeks.
So he must have really wrenched that hamstring to be out 2 months.
Brown throws a fastball by Holt, and it's 0-2. There's Pedroia, who you know is just itching to play.
Well, he's a player and a gamer.
.2 coming to Holt. And he fouls it back. It's a very different looking Red Sox team now. They dealt Mike Napoli to Texas. They traded Shane Victorino to the Angels. Pedroia's on the sidelines. Clay Buchholz is out probably for the season with elbow problems. So it's a much younger looking Red Sox team, and that's actually helped them with a little energy through the month of August.
Well, it was a very unusual World Championship season that the Red Sox had. No one expected them to go far that year, and they wound up winning the whole shebang.
Yeah. 2 years ago, and then last place last year, and last place again.
They went from last place to world champions to last place. And now it looks like they're going to repeat.
But they're only 7.5 out of the wild card.
Amazing.
Every team in the American League but one is within 7.5 games of a wild card. 1-2 to Holt. Change up away, 2-2. Well, it takes a full-page graphic to put up the American League wildcard standings.
No, if anybody gets in there under 500, please.
By the way, Toronto won this afternoon, bombarding Detroit 15-1. So the Yankees need to win tonight to stay a game and a half out of first. A good turn at bat for Holt. He works the count full.
It's interesting. Of all the there's the 15-1. Toronto just keeps on pounding runs in. Only 2 teams in both leagues in first place have over 500 records on the road.
DeGrom strikes out Holt. Went right back to the changeup for his 3rd strikeout of the day.
Well, a little bit different than Philadelphia. What a difference 5 days makes. Is it 5 or 6 now? It's 5.
5 days. No bad room service hamburger.
Was that what it was?
That's apparently was the culprit. Well, you know the story, right? David Wright showed up in the hotel lobby with cookies, And DeGrom turned down the cookies, had the room service hamburger instead, and should have gone with the cookies. You know, 20/20 hindsight.
Who knew where that meat was, where it went?
Blake Swihart takes the curveball down 1-1. Well, Swihart hit the officially the inside the park home run that put the Red Sox in front to stay in the 10th inning last night against Carlos Torres. Turned out it was over the fence and should have been a conventional home run.
I was a little hasty on the call. I didn't think it was a home run, and I was wondering why Lagares didn't react to the ball off the wall, but on replay it clearly was a home run.
And Lagares said after the game he was 100% certain it was over the fence.
Yeah. So my apologies to Juan, but you couldn't tell from that angle, the original angle, only on replay.
Well, the stranger part was that Cespedes never moved from left field.
Right.
I mean, didn't move an inch. DeGrom goes upstairs to strike out Swihart, and DeGrom strikes out the side in the 2nd inning. He's off to a spectacular start. No score in the 2nd. Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Mets threatened but didn't score in the first against Joe Kelly, who required 30 pitches to get through the inning. Juan Uribe hitting 6th in the order leads off. Uribe pinch hit last night and walked. Getting the start with David Wright getting the day off today. And Uribe takes a strike.
27 games for the Mets, only hitting 181. But he scored 11 runs, hit 5 home runs, and 12 runs driven in.
Wax run the other way, and Uribe has a leadoff hit. So Kelly, who had to work hard to extricate himself from trouble in the first inning, in immediate trouble in the 2nd.
Little slider upstairs, nice hitting by Mr. Uribe. Nice level swing, a cut and slasher. I'm going to have to say that. I can't think of another term, folks.
Why do you need?
Well, because Mr. Gowdy, if he's listening, Kurt, I know you want me to find another term for this, but I can't think of one. It's going to be cut and slash the rest of the year.
Get Keith Thesaurus, would you? Here's Michael Conforto. Conforto 0 for 1 last night. Last 12 games, Michael's hitting .351. He looks very much a big league hitter. Just 77 at bats out of Double-A. This is his 22nd major league start.
strikeouts are a little high if you're looking at his numbers. 77 at bats coming in with 20 strikeouts, but it's been a real learning experience for him. They have pitched this young man very tough right from the get-go after he got off to that real hot start early. The first week he was up.
He had a 4-hit game. It's his second game in the major.
Once he had that 4-hit game, pitchers came in and started pitching him as if he was a seasoned veteran 300 hitter. So this is all good learning for him. Good eye at the plate. I just really think very highly of this young man.
Kelly's behind him 2-0. And there's a borderline strike. 2-1. Wilmer Flores is hitting 8th in this Mets order today. He's on deck. What a difference.
What a difference, yes. That lineup sometimes in May, June, and July was anemic.
Misses to Conforto, and it's 3-1.
Always a little bit of pull in the outfield. Center field shaded for the pull. Awful shallow Bradley Jr. in right. He's been playing a shallow right field the entire series.
3-1 coming, and it's on the inside corner. Good pitch by Kelly. 3-2.
They're coming inside after this young man.
3-2, nobody out. He only fanned a couple in the first inning. Uribe's running. Conforto hits one right at the second baseman. Holt's going to have to go to first with it. So by putting Uribe in motion, the Mets stay out of the double play. And he's on second with 1 out.
Well, that ball was scorched. Ripped right at the second baseman.
Holt thought about going to second
because the ball was hit so doggone hard. And see, there's this. Oh, he had to do the old dodge there. Tried to come in and see, he just missed a little bit, and that's all it took to get that barrel on that ball. Good swing.
So now Flores the batter with DeGrom on deck. Wilmer 2 for 5 last night, a single and a double. And he takes a fastball strike. We're looking for ways for you to amend, cut, and slash for Mr. Uribe. And in the dictionary, among the definitions for slash is this phrase that might work for you. There's a strike. Attack in a savage manner.
I can dig that.
Can you work with that?
Oh, yeah. I got related words. Crosscut, no. Hacksaw, no.
No.
Scissors, no. Cleave, no.
I like Uribe attacks in a savage manner.
Mince.
You won't do that.
Here's another one. Amputate. That's it. That's the one.
What I love is in this environment we work in, you ask for a thesaurus and it's right there. What a world. The internet has changed everything. Flores fighting from behind. 1-2 coming from Kelly, and he jammed him. And he got the hands out of the way. 2-2.
Just one more quick phrase, Garrett.
Yeah.
To strike repeatedly with something long and thin or flexible. No. That's it. Enough of that.
To lash. To whip. I'm not trying to change it here. Ground ball right near the second baseman. Holt comes in and gets Flores for the second out as Uribe goes to third.
Well, Holt had to worry about that ball hitting the bag. Nothing discombobulates an infielder more than having to worry about a ball that might hit the bag. You're going to rush and get it like that. So if it does, you get the short hop. You got it right on the shortest of hops. Nice play.
So runner at 3rd and 2 out. It's left to Jacob deGrom, who has 8 hits, 2 RBIs this year. Trying to pick up Uribe with 2 down.
Leads him off with like a changeup. That was not 94 miles an hour. It's a vast conspiracy to mess up that radar gun.
Again. deGrom, slow ground ball, Sandoval ranging wide, and throws him out to end the inning. So Kelly works around another leadoff hit. No score after 2. Monday. Going to be some traffic jams in the area, but it's always good to have John McEnroe in the house. And maybe the Mets have found their newest relief pitcher. What do you think?
A left side, a port sider. Nicely done, John.
Can he get a lefty out?
An eephus pitch.
You know, he always had the good changeup at the net.
He had great hands at the net. One of the great doubles players. Everybody remembers John, of course, one of the greatest tennis players of all time. But what I loved about John was he was such a great doubles player and great on the Davis Cup. He loved to play in the Davis Cup.
And a New Yorker, Douglaston, Queens, Trinity High School. Here's Jackie Bradley leading off against deGrom in the 3rd. deGrom has been dominant over the first 2 innings. 6 up, 6 down, 4 strikeouts. Bradley had a big night last night, 2 for 4, including a 2-run homer that put the Red Sox in front against Logan Verrett in the 7th.
And we've made note, Gary, myself, and Ron, how the ball is has been carrying for the last 3 weeks. It's just been everywhere we've gone, the ball's been flying.
Now you expect that when you go to Denver. Not so much here. Bradley's on a home run tear. Guy who hit under 200 last year. All of a sudden, after a stint in the minor leagues, he's hit 5 home runs in his last 52 at bats. Gets jammed there and rolls one down to Murphy. Bradley screwed himself right into the ground and barely got out of the batter's box, and deGrom's now retired the first 7.
Usually happens. It's happened to me. It usually happens when you get overpowered inside like that, and you just can't get out of the box.
You walk away shaking your head, which Jacob deGrom's done to a lot of folks this year.
So you got me that time, but you got me 3 more times, young man. I'll get you.
Is Alejandro De Aza, the veteran outfielder, picked up for a minor leaguer from Baltimore in early June.
De Aza has bounced around everywhere. Florida, White Sox.
He had a couple of good years in Chicago. But when he came up with the Marlins, he got hurt very quickly and had to really struggle with injuries early in his career. Left-hand hitter with some speed and some pop. 7 home runs this year for De Aza. Part-time duty. And DeGrom misses high, ball and a strike.
Gary, do you ever recall when the Mets wore the pinstripes? I just noticed that under the armpit of DeGrom, there's no pinstripes. It's just a bare patch, a white patch. I never noticed that before.
When he goes in his windup. Pulled down to first. Murphy with a nice play, and DeGrom over to cover for the second out.
Well, Murph's very agile, nicely done.
Didn't have quite the degree of difficulty of the Torres-Murphy 1-3-1 play the other night.
I'm telling you, that was as fine a play as any defender in any position could make when he made that play in Philadelphia off the foot of Carlos Torres on the ricochet. That was just a fabulous play.
Here's Joe Kelly, not a bad hitter. Kelly was an outfielder in college at Cal Riverside, in addition to being a closer. So he knows how to swing the bat. Lifetime 179 batting average. Curveball misses from DeGrom. I just don't know on that play with Torres and Murphy how many other pitchers would have gotten to first base at the time.
And you know when the Mets are going right, when the ball ricochets off the foot and goes right, goes to Murph, where you can make a play.
On the fastball for a strike, 1-2.
The ball gets by through Torres. It's a base hit up the middle.
But also Murph made a blind toss, just hoping Torres would be there, and Carlos was. Great play all the way around. 1-2 from DeGrom. Struck him out. Jacob DeGrom goes perfectly through the Red Sox the first 3 innings with 5 strikeouts. No score in the third.
Jesse Orosco, dream has come true. The Mets have won the World Series, coming from behind to win the 7th ball game.
29 years since Jesse Orosco threw that last pitch and struck that celebratory pose, and today immortalized in bobblehead.
Rightly so. And it really had to mean something to Jesse and Mookie, because they were the two guys that were here when it was bad. And it had to mean something to Mazzelli, too, Lee. Those three guys were here in lean years. And to see it come to full circle, it really had to be special for those three guys.
Curtis Granderson leads off in the home third inning. Well, Jesse has been a Met since 1979, and he's standing by with Steve Gelbs. Steve?
Thanks, Gary. Got the real life Jesse and the Jesse bobblehead with me right here. And Jesse, you've got to feel like you've made it now that you have your own bobblehead, right?
My own bobblehead. I'm going to call him Mini-Me, just like you saw in Austin Powers.
Pretty good. Jesse, first of all, before we get into 1986 and Mets Red Sox playing again today, tell the fans who don't know what you're up to right now, living out in San Diego and enjoying life.
Yes, I am. Out in San Diego with my family, and we're just having a good time out there. What I've been doing for quite a bit is getting a lot of golfing. And on the side, I do pitching lessons for kids. So it keeps me a little bit active, and it's something to do out there.
Yeah, Curtis Granderson singles to center, so first man on for the Mets. Jesse, when you look at Mets Red Sox, we don't get to see this all that often. Do the memories just come flooding back to you? Is that what comes to mind when you watch a game like this?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it just brings back '86 right off the bat. A lot younger players now, but that's all right. But it's good. It's the interleague play type like that. To see the American League team come in, it's fun to see that.
Jesse, when you look back on that run, and especially in the clinching games in the World Series, Game 7, and against Houston, the NLCS, and in Game 6. Looking back on those moments, just how stressful a situation is that, especially that Game 6 against Houston where the winning run's on base and you've got 2 men on, you've already given up 2 runs. What is going through your mind as a reliever right there?
Well, first of all, I'm looking for a bathroom. I tell you what, it was a tight situation, and I was starting to get a little tired. But I mean, you either suck it up or go home, and so I gave it the best I could. I know I lost my fastball, but so I tried to reach back and use something else, which I had to go back to my #1 pitch, my slider. But it was a tough game, but support from the players and stuff like that. I want to get to the World Series, so I had to really give it all I could.
And in both those situations, the release of emotions when you get the out. I mean, that second one's immortalized right here, but that first celebration was just as good, if not even better. Were those celebrations, especially one in the World Series, totally organic moment, just kind of living in it, or is that something that you had kind of pre-thought in the World Series? If I get this out,
oh, I didn't do that. First of all, I mean, clinching the playoffs, kind of like got the exciting moment, get it going. I didn't know what I was going to do that time. First of all, I was probably too tired to get my arms up. And then when it got to the World Series and when that happened, it's funny because I had friends call me and they were asking me, so what are you going to do on the mound if you don't throw the last pitch? I said, I don't know. I'd be happy to throw the last pitch. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so just the nature of the beast just came out as far as, hey, let it go. And that's all I wrote. It was fun.
Jesse, Keith was just mentioning, Gary, we're talking about how you were one of those Mets that saw the whole turnaround take place and how sweet that must have been to finally culminate with the World Series. There are a couple of guys on this team that are going through that turnaround right now. Just how sweet was that moment, considering all you had been through with the franchise?
Well, when I got to the Mets, it was just kind of a building process. It took a little while until about 1983 is when we started making some transactions. Having Keith come over and Gary and then Roger and Doc, all these guys coming up the minor leagues. You can just see everything escalating. I remember I was in Italy at that time with my wife, and over the TV there was a trade that happened. It was Gary Carter coming over, and I'm jumping on my bed, and my wife thinks I'm freaking out. So things like that, and then from that point on, we made a mad rush at winning games and like contending with the teams, and 84, 85 gave us a big lesson of what we need to do, and then that was all it was. And then 86 we just gelled.
Well, Jesse, it's great seeing you. It's great catching up, and enjoy the rest of the game here. And guys, after that double play by Yoenis Cespedes, let's send it back to you.
Murphy just misses the line. Foul ball.
Well, Jesse had 4 appearances in the playoffs. To me, that was what it's all about. To me, the most pressure was the National League Division playoffs, because you don't get to the World Series if you lose that. And we knew we had our hands full. Jesse had 4 appearances in that series, and I know he was gassed. He pitched 2 innings in Game 5, and then had the off day and went 3 innings in that final game, Game 6, and obviously got the W.
I noticed he mentioned throwing his slider at the end of the Game 6. You couldn't have had anything to do with that, could you?
Well, like he said, he knew he lost his fastball. It was apparent at first base.
Jesse and Mookie on the field before the game today. Passing the torch. Field Mets take on the Nats. All fans in attendance will receive a Mets Know Your Roots t-shirt courtesy of Avoderm and Nylabone.
All the retired numbers, very few of them.
For tickets, visit Mets.com/Free Shirt Friday.
Mets are still one of the few teams that really guard and protect their retired numbers. Only one player, and we all know that's Mr. Tom Terrific.
That'll change one of these days.
Field Hodges, of course, Casey Stengel.
Mookie Betts leading off the 4th inning. DeGrom behind in the count for a rare time today. He's retired 9 straight to start the day with 5 strikeouts. Betts grounded out his first time up. Mookie Betts is well aware, by the way, that Mookie Wilson is in the building. In fact, Mookie Betts asked to meet Mookie Wilson today, and the Mets tried to arrange that, but batting practice schedule got in the way, so they plan to get the 2 of them together tomorrow. On the ground, Flores on the backhand. The long throw is high and sails over Murphy. Betts is safe. Did he take a turn? Murphy will put a tag on him just in case, but no. Joe West says he's safe.
Well, Flores had plenty of time to set himself, and he does. But just gets loose with his throws, Garrett. He tends to get loose. And there's that tapping of the glove. David Wright has that problem too.
It's an error on Flores, giving the Red Sox their first base runner of the day.
Well, there goes the perfect game.
Now Pablo Sandoval has struck out on 3 pitches his first time up. Betts is a base stealer. He's got 17 this year, so DeGrom will keep an eye on him. Jacob has done a remarkable job controlling the running game. Only 3 steals and 7 tries against DeGrom this year. Betts gets a healthy lead.
Lots of shadows now, but you know what? It's not. I don't think it's going to have that much of an effect. very little thin line of sun. It is not. You'd rather have it with just the sun all over the field. I just remember the '69 World Series and those day games, afternoon games they played with Seaver out there, in particular that one game, how difficult it had to be with Tom in his prime throwing the way he threw.
The shadows at Shea Stadium were the worst in April and in October. In April is when Tom had that 19 strikeout game against the Padres when he struck out the last 10 in a row. 0-2 to Sandoval.
A little high with his fastballs, Jake.
Xander Bogaerts on deck. One-two coming. Sandoval just got a piece of that fastball to hang in.
I tell you what, DeGrom is, and we know this now from seeing him now, we're almost into a second full season for Jacob, and he is not afraid to throw his fastball. Love him. Would love to play behind him.
And like all the Mets' core starting pitchers, DeGrom has thrived in this ballpark. This is his 23rd career start at Citi Field. He's never given up more than 3 earned runs in a game in this ballpark. Never. This year, a 1.46 ERA at home. Good pitcher's park, and he's taken advantage of it. Back throws the curveball and misses 2-2. Well, since last year when DeGrom made his big league debut, he's got the best home ERA in the majors.
No one better. And Cueto's kind of amazing being up there in that home field. He's got to pitch in.
When he was in Cincinnati.
Yes.
Struck him out through the fastball by Sandoval, who strikes out for the second time. That's 6 for DeGrom.
Upstairs. Twice he's punched him out upstairs, up and in.
Didn't have that great late life in the start in Philadelphia. And he got hit hard. But he has bounced back today, and the combs are proliferating. Now Bogaerts takes a slider for a strike. Bogaerts flied to right his first time up. Red Sox have been a hot offensive team. 6 runs last night gives them 100 runs in their last 14 games. That's over 7 per game for the last 2 weeks. The high strike, and it's 0-2.
Well, Harvey held him in check for 6 sparkling innings yesterday. Left the game with a 2-0 lead. But it's been that kind of year for Matt.
Really, his whole career has been that way. No-run games where he doesn't get the result. Slowly hit to third. Uribe right at the bag. The throw to first, and it's picked up by Murphy for the out. That's a terrific play by Uribe against the speed of Bogaerts. 2 away.
Well, he had no time here to set himself, and he gives Daniel a nice easy pick here. Always like the short hop. Well done all the way around. When you get the short hop, it can't take a bad bounce on you.
That's why you got the big glove.
Nice stretch by Murph, too.
So 2 out, Betts at second, and now Travis Shaw, who went down looking his first time up, and he fouls back to fastball. Shaw is the first baseman of the moment for the Red Sox, getting a chance to play since they traded Mike Napoli to Texas. since the new regime took over, they've been having Hanley Ramirez take ground balls at first, and it looks like their plan for next year, if Hanley is still here, is for him to transition to play first base.
Well, the 2 trades they made for Sandoval and Ramirez did not pan out this year for the Red Sox.
0-2 to Shaw. Hanley, who was in the original lineup last night, scratched because of shoulder fatigue. Not sure exactly what that means, but he's out of the lineup again today. One-two. Late swing foul. Mets need DeGrom to go deep into this game today. It's no secret that the Mets bullpen is torn up right now, and also no secret with the deadline for postseason eligibility just a couple of days away that the Mets are looking for another reliever. 1-2 coming. Foul back.
Well, one thing's for certain on Shaw. He's a fastball hitter. Everybody's been kind of overwhelmed by DeGrom's fastball. But Shaw, it looks like to me to be a dead red hitter. He bounces a slider in the dirt, a curve in the dirt, see if he goes fishing.
One-two coming. Struck him out. DeGrom strikes out Shaw with the changeup for the second time. 7 strikeouts through 4 hitless innings for Jacob DeGrom. Yeah, Philadelphia's We'll enjoy more shows on more screens. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. Travis d'Arnaud leads off the home fourth in a scoreless game. Travis walked his first time up, and Joe Kelly throws a curveball for a strike. That's about a leadoff hit in each of the first 3 innings against Kelly, but unable to convert that into any runs. Much like last night when the starter Henry Owens walked a batter 4 straight innings, and the Mets had trouble cashing in. Can't always be like it was on that road trip where the Mets scored 73 runs in their last 7 games. Now back to a pitching-oriented game. d'Arnaud couldn't stop the swing on the high breaking ball. 1-2.
Well, they took advantage of the high altitude in Denver those 3 games, and they took advantage of Phillies pitching and some shoddy defense from the Phillies late in those games.
Slider off the plate. 2-2 to Darno. Well, we talked about it last night. I mean, the Rockies, the Phillies, and the Red Sox all have one thing in common. Well, 2 things. 1, they're last place teams, and 2, their bullpens are dreadful.
And 3 more with the Phillies coming in after this series.
Darno pops one up into right. Bradley looking in the sunshine. No problem. 1 away. That's upcoming schedule brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealer, and there are the upcoming games. 1 more with the Red Sox tomorrow, 3 more with the Phillies starting Monday night. Then the Mets go on a 10-game road trip, 3 in Miami, the big 3 in Washington, and then 4 in Atlanta on the next trip. That will be the Mets' second to last trip of the season.
Well, Miami, you can almost consider them another last place team. They are only a half-game lead over of the Phillies starting today. So
they could have one big difference, though, when the Mets get there. They might have Giancarlo Stanton back, and that obviously is a huge factor. Ball and a strike to Johnson.
Johnson struck out his first time up and could not figure out the changeup from Kelly. Swung through 2 of them out in front.
Smashes one right at the shortstop Bogart. 2 out and played perfectly. And they're 2 out. So Kelly has a chance for his first 1-2-3 inning, and now Juan Uribe, who went the other way and had a base hit to right, leading off the second. David Wright with a day off today after playing 2 straight extra inning games. Terry Collins said he expects David to be in the lineup tomorrow, but he said you can't be certain with with David's condition. It's a day-to-day proposition, and we'll check with David in the morning, make sure that everything's okay, and then he'll pencil his name in the lineup.
He'll be in the lineup tomorrow.
Sure, you're right. But you can understand why Terry is just trying to tamp down expectations for David, because nobody really knows over the long term how many games he can play in what kind of period of time.
He's swung the bat very well since coming back. That's for certain.
And after a couple of shaky games in the field, he's looked much better defensively.
I'm not worried about his fielding. It's the hitting.
And then yesterday he had to race from first to home when that error was made in right field.
That is more worrisome than the other 2. You don't want him getting hurt.
Toward the hole, Shaw gets over to get it and hits Kelly for the 3-1 putout. And so Kelly has his first 1-2-3 inning, and we've got a pitcher's duel going at Citi Field. Mets and Red Sox no score going to the 5th. tank.
There's water in there.
Is it real water or fake water? No, it looks real. Today's high-speed pitch comes from Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. It's a tie. 97 apiece. DeGrom was at the upper hand. He has not allowed a hit through the first 4 innings. Brock Holt leads off the 5th and takes ball 1. Holt struck out his first time up, 1 of 7 for DeGrom over the first 4 innings. Holt, Swihart, and Bradley for the Red Sox in the 5th. And DeGrom behind 2-0. Only 1 base runner for the Red Sox so far. Betts reached on an error leading off in the 4th. See how the shadows have progressed with this late afternoon start. There's a strike, 2-1. Take that fastball for a strike, and it's 2-2.
Looking for a breaking ball on a guy that is like, what did I say last half inning? I love Jacob DeGrom now over the last 2 years. What does he like to throw? Likes to throw a fastball. Why am I taking a fastball?
Changeup misses, 3-2. DeGrom and Holt were both in the All-Star game this year for the first time. Only the second 3-ball count of the day, and comes inside to Holt, who fouls it off.
It's nice to see these major league physiques out there again, not like these Michelin men back in the 90s and the early 2000s. The normal physiques out there. Nice to see.
3-2 to Holt. Toward the middle of the diamond, and it'll go through for a base hit. So the Red Sox have their first hit of the day against DeGrom, a leadoff single for Holt.
Fastball away. Too much plate. And up. DeGrom needs to get the ball down, starts focus to get it down.
First hit of the day for the Red Sox. Second inning in a row they've got the leadoff man on, and now Blake Swihart, who struck out his first time up.
An impressive home run last night that put the Red Sox ahead. Dead center field. There were 3 home runs hit by the Red Sox. 2 to left center field, and then 1 dead central. And that was the deepest part of the ballpark. Right? As Gary and I mentioned how the ball's been carrying.
Ortiz and Bradley, and then Swihart. That's a fastball strike, 0-2. Swihart was asked after the game, given the unique circumstances of his home run, he was asked, have you ever hit a inside the park home run before? And he said, it still happened.
Very funny.
And he waves weakly and a fastball away. And DeGrom strikes him out on 3 pitches. 8-8 now for DeGrom.
Good running fastball. Changeup, excuse me. Or was it a fastball? Just made him look bad. I had an inside the park home run in Gold Bush Stadium off, I believe, Dick Ruffin when he was playing for the Braves, pitching for the Braves.
And
it was off the dead center field line drive, hit above the padding where the concrete was, and it rolled all the way back into short center field.
Did the left fielder come over to help?
I was so exhausted I wasn't paying particular attention.
Did you need oxygen afterward?
My head first slide was a belly flop. My back legs went up in the air. I ran out of gas. But my blazing speed around the bases made it easy. I could have been stand-up.
Did anybody get a good shot of you on that belly flop slide?
July what now? July 26, 1977. I hit it. It was off Dick Ruffin, right, Truck?
1-1 to Jackie Bradley.
I'm kind of proud of that one.
It wasn't one of those July day games at Busch where it was 140 on the field.
I don't recall if it was a day game or not, but it was a rocket. I hit a 2-iron.
That was your standard. Fastball by DeGrom.
Big follow through, more than normal. Did you see that?
Did he think that was strike 3? Was that what it was? It was only strike 2.
Let's see. Look at his follow through. No, he slid out.
Looks athletic even when he falls.
Yeah.
1-2 to Bradley. And the curveball in the dirt. Delayed steal attempt. And Brock Holt goes to second.
Oh, the Red Sox have, what, they had 2 last night, Gare?
I don't know if they're going to call that a steal or a wild pitch because the ball was in the dirt.
Have to see the runner. If it's a delayed steal, or did he go? No, that's got to be a wild pitch, huh?
That is how they're going to score it. So runner in scoring position with 1 out. 2-2 to Bradley with the number 8 hitter Diaza on deck. And a half swing. Did he go? He went around strike 3. Strikeout number 9 for Jacob deGrom.
This is starting to get into the stratosphere here, the ionosphere in strikeouts. 9 strikeouts, and we're in the 5th inning. 15 outs in 5 innings, folks. Do the math, and you got 9 strikeouts. He's not through with the 5th yet.
Now he's got Diaza with the pitcher on deck, and let's see if the Mets will pitch to him. Well, they're not going to intentionally walk him. Kelly is not a terrible hitter, but it's a scoreless game in the 5th.
I'd pitch to him too.
Grounded foul. 0-1.
Looking at deGrom now through what's first 78 pitches. Great fastball. Really good change. Not a great breaking ball today, and I think he's very honest, very forthright in his post-game interviews. He's broken a couple off, but on the whole, his breaking ball's been average. Hasn't been the real crisp one.
He's leaned on his changeup more this year, especially when he hasn't had his good fastball. And he certainly has one today. And he leans Diaza back 1-1.
And he knows how to pitch inside. All good stuff.
Diaza grounded out to first base his first trip. This is a game the likes of which Met pitchers have been involved a lot this year. Late swing. 1-2.
Yeah, they're all big uppercutters here, so this plays right into deGrom's strength. That good high riding fastball. When you uppercut, it's hard to catch up to it. Back and fired that one. Looking for numero 10.
You're so bilingual. 2-2 to Diaza. And he just got a piece of that to keep the at-bat alive.
deGrom does not give away in his motion any of his secondary pitches. Everything is uniform. And I always look for those things, and I can see it from the center field camera. But he does not. Oh, there you go. Nice dining right there, left field line. Look at that view.
That Cellar Club, that's great.
Oh, yes. Good food, good wine list.
Again, the 2-2. Up and away. Now full count to Diaza. Rom angry with himself on that last pitch, but you don't want to groove one to Diaza here. You got first base open and the pitcher on deck. You should be able to throw him something he has to chase. 3-2 coming, and he misses with the breaking ball, and he walks him. First walk of the day issued by deGrom.
Well,
not a heartbreaking one, except for the way it builds his pitch count.
It's not what he would have preferred. However, a pretty good at bat by De Aza.
So here's Kelly, who struck out his first time up. 1 for 3 on the season. 15 career hits, 5 career RBIs. First time the Red Sox have had 2 men on today. Holt at second, De Aza at first, and Kelly trying to bunt for a hit. DeGrom off the mound and throws him out to end the inning. Well, Kelly figured to give it a chance, but DeGrom fields his position very well, and we've got a scoreless game halfway through. Above and beyond. The playoff picture is brought to you by Optimum Wi-Fi. We have a potpourri of playoff information for you. You see the Mets with the lead, the Cardinals, the Dodgers. You see the wild card standings in the National League. Pretty much 3 teams for 2 spots. The Giants 4.5 out after beating the Cardinals last night. Marlon Byrd did a grand slam off Michael Wacha last night.
No.
Yeah.
So they beat the Cardinals?
They did.
Obviously. Beat their ace.
Wacha didn't get the loss. Giants scored in the bottom of the 9th. Kelby Tomlinson, who's become the hero of the moment for the Giants, got the game-winning hit. Cardinals are up 1-0 on the Giants in the 5th today, with Ryan Vogelsong on the mound for San Francisco. Here, scoreless game as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Michael Conforto leads off against Joe Kelly. Conforto grounded out his first time up, hit the ball solidly. And he takes the curveball from Kelly for ball 1.
Good eye right there, which Conforto shows us every time he's in the lineup. Left side of the Boston Red Sox infield playing Conforto for the pull. Oh, where's that pitch?
It's a call that Kelly's been getting today, but not that time.
You see the
John Tumpane, the young home plate umpire, set a ball, so now it's 2-0 to Conforto with Flores on deck, and now ball 3.
Try to throw the old 2-0 changeup and you miss. Now you're in trouble. Well, Conforto will be taking here, but he'll also be hitting 3-1, which will be a lovely count.
Or he'll be standing on first base.
Correct.
It's been doing that a lot against Boston pitching in this series. Kelly's walked only 1 over the first 4 innings. That came in the first inning. And he walks Conforto on 4 pitches. Standing on first.
You got it.
So that's 4 times in 5 innings now the Mets have had the leadoff man on. They've yet to convert. Long-time Major League statistics tell you that if you get the leadoff man on, you score at least a run 51% of the time.
And when I was playing, it was a leadoff walk found its way home 60% of the time. So what's the difference between a percentage point?
So Kelly has done a lot of pitching out of the stretch today. We'll do it again against Flores, who grounded out his first time up. Been 4-2 at first and nobody out.
Outfield a shade to the opposite field on Wilmer, not the left fielder, the other two guys on the right of your screen. You can see plainly.
There's a lot of gap in left center. Got a lot of speed in that Red Sox outfield, though.
Interesting that Wilmer doesn't walk. Very difficult to walk, but he takes a lot of first pitches sometimes. I'd like to know what his thoughts are on that. His approach. He's only got 16 walks this year.
425 official at bats, and he hasn't walked in a month. But he sure has been swinging well. Hits that one weakly. Holt comes in to get it. They get the out at second, and the relay by Bogart's in time for the double play.
Did that
the Red Sox turn their second double play of the day.
Did that tip the pitcher's mitt, or am I crazy? Couldn't have. No, definitely not. That ball just jammed him. Got in his kitchen.
Wilmer not fleet of foot, and even though that ball was hit very slowly, the Red Sox still able to turn two.
Well, Wilmer too takes a full backswing, and he's slow out of the box.
Here's DeGrom with 2 out and nobody on. Well, there's one thing the Mets are lacking. Well, not one thing, but one thing they've lacked all year is team speed. And it's the reason that they made the deal to get Eric Young Jr. back in the organization. That's hit the other way, but playing toward the line is De Aza, and perfectly positioned to make the grab. And that ends the inning. 5 in the books at Citi Field, still no score. DeGrom has come back dealing today. 9 strikeouts in the first 5 innings. Only 1 hit allowed. He has been mowing them down this afternoon at Citi Field.
Well, Hanley Ramirez not in the lineup with a sore shoulder. Big Papi. David Ortiz on the bench with a, what was it, Gary?
Sore heel.
Sore heel, okay.
A tight heel.
Tight heel.
Never heard that one before.
Needs ice.
Third time around the batting order now for DeGrom.
Sorry,
Mookie Betts will lead off. Never apologize.
I get excited when you get these pitching duels. I have always loved the pitching duels.
19th batter of the game for DeGrom. Only the 4th time he's failed to throw a first pitch strike. Betts was the first base runner, reached on an error in the 4th, and he takes the curveball for a strike. 1-1. Betts, Sandoval, and Bogarts against DeGrom. He's walked 1, struck out 9. Working at a nice pace. 2-1 to Betts. There's the Panda on deck. Gets something off. 2-2.
He's got a good changeup. It has been a very effective pitch this start for him. Obviously,
he's changed speeds on his changeup too.
Getting good sink here.
But he's up to 90 pitches, and this is a day the Mets needed DeGrom to go deep into the game. It might be hard for him to do that. Yesterday, Matt Harvey had the ripcord pulled after 6 scoreless innings, and might be the same with DeGrom today. 2-2 to Betts. Hit hard, base hit. So the Red Sox have their second hit. Mookie Betts a leadoff single. 3rd straight inning the Red Sox have gotten the leadoff man on. It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Corey, Linda Church with the weather, and Caitlin Monty with all the traffic. From 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home.
Well, Mookie Betts has a very quick bat. Stays level on that belt high up pitch.
Now Sandoval, who's been overmatched so far today, struck out in both at bats. Betts a base stealing threat. And Sandoval goes after the pitch out of the strike zone.
17 stolen bases for Betts, only caught 4 times. So you got to keep an eye on him. Big lead. There's that up and in fastball, Gary. He cannot catch up to it.
DeGrom ahead on Sandoval 0-2. Lay off 1-2. It's been a lost year for Sandoval. Signed a 5-year, $95 million deal with the Red Sox to come over from the Giants. Lifetime .294 hitter. He struggled to stay over .250. One-two. Delayed steal attempt again, and the ball gets behind Flores, but backed up by Johnson, and Betts is safe at second. We'll see how they score that one.
Is that if it's another one as the other one where it's a wild pitch?
That's what they're going to say.
The Red Sox are very alert on the bases for a team that's basically playing it out.
And just as Holt did in the 5th inning, as soon as that ball hit the dirt, Betts was off.
Very alert. It's happens when you got young players out there. They will hustle.
So now it's 2-2. Runner in scoring position with nobody out. And Sandoval drives one to the gap in right center field, and that's going to bring in the game's first run. Betts will score. Sandoval into second with an RBI double, and the Red Sox take a 1-0 lead in the 6th.
Well, only the 41st run driven in by Sandoval on the year. DeGrom wanted to come up and in, Gary. He got it up, but middle. There's the difference. Not a great swing on it, just kind of flicked his bat and tomahawked that pitch into the gap. And you can low ride home here. Don't tag up. You got it.
First run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Mookie Betts runs home with the first score of the day, and now Xander Bogaerts with a runner at second. He hits one out to center. Cespedes got a late start, but he gets back there. Tagging at second is Sandoval, And he will make it just barely ahead of the relay by Flores.
Well, what did he have in tow?
Well, about 270.
Broke in. I don't think it would have mattered if he had gotten a good jump on this ball. The opposite field, he should be able. Should be able to get to third. But look at the strong arm from Cespedes. Almost.
That was pretty close.
It sure was. Infield's got to come in here, and it does.
Travis Shaw, the batter. He's been up twice, struck out twice, and DeGrom could use a strikeout now. Runner at third, one out. And the curveball misses down for ball one.
And DeGrom has just been missing with that down breaking ball. Hasn't been able to find the range.
And now pushing toward 100 pitches. No action as yet in the Mets bullpen.
Another left-hand hitter behind Shaw. As a matter of fact, it'll be down to the 8th hole. The next 4 batters will be left-hand hitters, so it's not like you can pitch around someone and get a right-hander up there and hope for a double play.
Ground behind 2-0 on Shaw.
Oh.
And he bounces that one away, but Sandoval didn't break. What was he thinking? He should have scored easily.
Even with his speed. Not coming down the line, Gary. See that? Can we see that again, folks? Watch this. You've got to come. He just didn't come down the line. Look how close he is to the bag.
And he knew it.
And that's just laziness.
Well, the Mets got a big break there. We'll see if DeGrom can take advantage of it. That run should have scored easily. It's 3-0 now to Shaw.
It's a huge run out there.
He walks on 4 pitches.
Sorry, Gary, I didn't mean to interrupt. That's a huge run on third base for the Red Sox. All right, they'll play probably a double play depth at the middle infield positions. Danny Wortham coming out. Talk to his pitcher, probably instructions from Terry Collins on how to play the infield.
Eric O'Flaherty, first man up in the Mets bullpen. Mets are very short-handed in the bullpen today, as they were last night. Today, Barrett not available, Torres not available. So the Mets have shipped Bartolo Colon down to the bullpen for a day. He might be able to give the Mets an inning if need be, and delayed his side session just in case.
What the heck is Brian Butterfield having a major conversation with Panda over at third base about?
Well, how about you should have scored?
I don't think that's what they were talking about.
Brock Holt, the batter. Infield at double play depth. Holt is 1 for 2.
Well, you could squeeze here, even with Panda at third.
You sure he'd run?
You've got Murphy having to hold a runner on first. You've got Uribe playing way back. But, you know, you got a young left-hand hitter up there having himself a 300 season. Let him swing the bat.
Holt fouls it away, and DeGrom's ahead 0-2.
Well, this is what I always love about DeGrom. Now, can he close the deal on the hitter? It's a big out. Got a rear back and fire here.
Sandoval, who drove in the game's first run, is on third. Shaw at first with 1 out. Well, I'm up to 103. He's thrown as many as 117 this year. 0-2 to Holt. Broken bat, short hop by Murphy, goes to second for 1. The relay not in time, and a run comes home. Murphy had a play at the plate, but opted to try for the double play and had no chance against the speed of Brock Holt, and the Red Sox lead 2-0.
Well, if you're going to go for 2, you don't look home. Watch Murph look home. He's looking home. That's too much wasted time, and that's what he beats it by a half step. Either you come home, if Panda's going home. Gary, was he going home? Did he wait?
He might have paused a beat, but he was far enough down the line. You had a play on him anyway.
Oh, you had him. So
sure,
you had him. And the play was in front of Murph, but you know, Murph.
It's a speed of the game thing. You have to know who the base runner is. Holt can run. You have to know that if you have to come in and short hop that ball, you just don't have enough time. Got to go home.
Panda was running, so he was dead in the rights. But, you know, Murph is really.
Swihart sneaks one up the middle for a base hit. Holt will go first to third, and the inning continues.
You got to stop the bleeding right here. Change up, down and away. Good hitting, good pitch. Tip your hat to the hitter. And just to put a capper on it, Murph is really a guy that's bounced around. Really doesn't have a position. Hasn't played enough first base. So any position he's playing, he's basically out of position.
2 runs are in, first and third and 2 out. Jackie Bradley, the batter. Darno wants to give signals to the infield about what to do if Swihart takes off. Swihart, remember, swiped a base last night. It was before his inside the park home run. Bradley's 0 for 2, grounded out and struck out. DeGrom had struck out a batter in every inning before this one. Perhaps running out a little steam. Now he gets ahead on Bradley 0-2. Ned started the inning with a base hit, moved up on a wild pitch. Sandoval drove him in with a double. And then a fielder's choice brought him the second run. Now it's 0-2 to Bradley.
The Mets is such a funny game. 8-1 road trip. And this is a lot of game left here. And they're having a difficulty at home against the Red Sox.
Again, the 0-2. Struck him out to end the inning. 10 strikeouts for DeGrom. 5th time this year he's been in double digits. But the Red Sox break the ice with a pair. Mets up the top of the batting order coming up. Six innings, dominant through the first 5, but faltered enough in the 6th that the Red Sox were able to scratch out a couple.
A little encouragement from his manager.
And he is certain done after 6. Around the Majors brought to you by your local Infinity retailers. Edwin Encarnacion hit 3 home runs, drove in 9 today. Just an average day for the Blue Jays. They've won 23 of their last 29. Cardinals 4-run fifth inning against Ryan Vogelsong, and the Nats play tonight. Third time around the Mets batting order. Curtis Granderson 2 for 2 today, a double and a single. And Joe Kelly fortified with a 2-0 lead. Kelly looking for his 6th straight win. And a check swing foul, and it's 0-2 to Granderson with Cespedes and Murphy to follow in the home 6th.
I wondered, you see how long it took Kelly? He pitter-pattered on the mound when he started his motion, and it was much longer. And I think it threw the timing off of Granderson. Had a very weak swing there.
Pulled a Johnny Gomes. Did you watch Johnny Gomes last night?
Yes, I did.
Do his Louis Tiant impression.
Yep.
Throwing 68 miles an hour.
Gave up a home run.
He threw so slow that on the pitch FX it registered as a knuckleball, even though it was a fastball.
And he looked shell-shocked when he gave up the home run.
Johnny said he had never pitched before, not even in high school. But he took the hit with the Braves getting blown out. Two to Granderson. He punches one foul. Mets have had just 3 hits against Kelly today, but all 3 came leading off the inning. Leadoff double by Granderson in the first. He got to third with 1 out. Mets couldn't get him in. Leadoff hit by Uribe in the second. Leadoff hit by Granderson in the third. And Curtis lifts one to pretty deep left, but playable for De Aza going back. And that's the first out. So 1 out and nobody on. Cespedes coming up. We check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, you were speaking earlier about Travis Shaw and how his time at first base may be a bit short-lived with the Red Sox as they potentially try to transition Hanley Ramirez over there. But Shaw's definitely opened up some eyes this season, the last month or so. And last week, David Ortiz actually pulled him aside and said to him, "You've pushed their hand enough that you're going to get an opportunity here next season. Take advantage of it. This could be the one shot that you get. Make sure this offseason you come back into camp in the best shape of your life." And he actually told Travis Shaw back in 2003 when he was the underdog at first base for the Red Sox, not getting playing time behind the likes of Jeremy Giambi and Kevin Millar. He said he got his one chance. He took advantage of it. And for Travis Shaw, he said it meant the world to have a guy like Ortiz say that to him, and reinforced a guy like that who's the face of the franchise. If he's going to say that, reinforced in Shaw's mind that he does have a chance here next year.
Well, we'll see. I mean, Major League Baseball is rife with guys who have gotten off to hot home run starts.
Or hot offensive starts. Period.
Kevin Moss, Benny Agbayani, Shane Spencer. That's just 3 guys here in New York who've had a lot of home runs early in their career. It doesn't necessarily translate to long-term success, but as Ortiz said, at least he's opening up enough eyes that he'll get a chance.
Well, he hasn't got 100 RBIs in this season yet in 31 games. So a lot of times when you get called up from the minor leagues, you're hot. You can carry it up to the big leagues and have a magic 3/4 of a year, half a season.
2-2 to Cespedes. Slowly hit. Kelly off the mound. And 2 out. So Keith, it turns out that the Triple Crown winner, American Pharoah, is not unbeatable. He finished second today at the Travers at Saratoga.
Ooh.
Beaten by Keen Ice.
What did Keen Ice go off as?
I don't know.
Ooh, get on it. Let's get on it, guys.
Immediately go to the financial page. We're talking about history, and you want to know the finances of it.
This is the second race since the Triple Crown.
Right.
For American
Haskell at Monmouth, which he won. You can only imagine what a wild scene it must have been at Saratoga today, which is packed on most days of that meet. Here's Murphy with 2 out and nobody on. Murphy was 0 for 2 today, struck out and flied out. Joe Kelly looking for his 6th win in the month of August. He had just 1 win when August began. Broken bat fly ball, and Bradley's right there. That retires the side, so after getting the lead, Kelly has an easy 1-2-3 inning. After 6, 2-0 Boston. Red Sox got 2 against Jacob deGrom, who's done after 6, having thrown 109 pitches. And the Mets have had no response against Joe Kelly, who's in the best groove he's been in since joining the Red Sox. And now Hansel Robles, who was unavailable last night, available today.
Well, we all know now, I like Robles. He has his good outings, he has his bad outings, but he's always going to come after hitters. He's got guts, he's got a good strong arm. I think he's got a future in the Mets bullpen. But this is with the pitch counts and sticking so tight to the pitch counts that if you don't get to that 8th and 9th inning with Clippard and Familia, you're running a tightrope here, the Mets, to get to that 8th and 9th spot.
Well, you've got to have effective 7th inning guys, and the Mets thought they were going to have enough before Henry Mejia was suspended for the 2nd time, and now they're searching for that guy. They were hoping Logan Verrett might be that guy. He stumbled last night. Robles has had his moments. The Mets are clearly looking to make a deal sometime before the deadline for postseason rosters Monday night. Alejandro De Aza leads off in the 7th and takes a strike from Robles. Robles last pitch night before last in Philly. He worked the 8th inning, allowed no runs and 1 hit. Pitcher Kelly is on deck. And certainly Torey Lovullo, the Boston manager, would like to push Kelly as far as he can. Their bullpen is torn up.
Well,
with everybody having worked last night. Kelly's at 87 pitches through 6. Diaza pops one up. Darno sheds the mask and slides, but he can't quite get to it. The on-deck circle did not help him. I just don't understand those on-deck circles, which are so dangerous when the player hits them.
A lot of them are rubber, so the cleats will. And that ball, I'm sure Travis feels he should have made the play. I think he got a little bit, got a late break on it.
Can you explain to me why those circles exist?
Because they're in the dirt, so you can't have it. You got to have something. You can't have the players kneeling in the on-deck circle. Strike 3 right there. You can't have a player kneeling on dirt.
Couldn't you just have a circle in the dirt?
But those are made so you're not going to slip. If you're wearing rubber cleats or steel spikes, you're not going to slip on those. You might, if you don't lift your feet, you might trip over the edges. But they're kind of like AstroTurf. I don't really have an issue with them, but what's dangerous is all the bats. The rosins there, the donut, the lead bat. That could be troublesome.
They're not as dangerous as the rubberized warning tracks.
Those were terrible.
Those were a big problem.
That's how Terry Francona got hurt, and his career was shortened. Up in Montreal, if I recall.
Kelly bailing out, but time was not called, and it's a strike. Well, Kelly was bailing out as the first pitch came in, and bailing out again on the second, and didn't get time. Now it's 1-1. I think we've seen this before with Robles in Philadelphia, but he's not really quick pitching here. He's just got Kelly a little confused.
Or else Kelly's heart is not into this at bat.
At least his head's up, unlike Darren Ruff. And he has made quick work of by Robles, who has back-to-back strikeouts to start his stint. And Kelly, who's working on a shutout, can go away smiling. Get to Citi Field tomorrow when the Mets take on the Red Sox at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Mets toy truck courtesy of WB Mason. Stay after the game, and kids 12 and under can run the bases in the Mr. Met Dash. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays. Hello, Mr. Mets.
He's got to be hot in that cocoon, that helmet, whatever it is. His head. Excuse me, kids. It's a head.
He brings joy wherever he goes.
I know.
Not necessarily the comedy of the Philadelphia fanatic, but a sheer joy. He's a baseball.
Yeah.
A smiling baseball. What could be better? 1-2 to bats. And unlike the fanatic, he's not green.
Oh, look at the little cutie.
0-2 to Mookie Betts is 1 for 3 on the day. He drives one to deep left field. Back goes Conforto. Looks up at the wall, and it's out of here. Mookie Betts with his 12th home run of the year. He wasn't sure that it was, but the third base umpire, John Hirschbeck, emphatically called it a home run as it came off the black back wall. And the Red Sox have a 3-0 lead.
He is very quick inside, Garrett, is Mookie Betts. Very quick, stays level. Fast bat.
Well, the Red Sox have themselves a couple of 22-year-old budding stars in Xander Bogaerts and Mookie Betts. And they have both shown off already in this series. Betts now with a dozen home runs. And it's 3-0 Boston. Here's Sandoval, who drove in the first run of this game in the 6th inning with a double to right center. And eventually scored one of his own. So Robles had struck out the first 2. He was 0-2 on Betts and then gives up the home run.
Just looks like Sandoval is just trying to go for the downs every pitch. Not the same hitter.
Looks one foul. Uribe takes a look, but that's well back in the crowd.
Well, if you look at Sandoval's numbers, he's always been bailed out by his postseason. He has just been spectacular in the postseason.
Lifetime .344 hitter in the postseason.
His first 2 seasons, he would hit over 300, well over 300 for the Giants, and then slipped to the 260s. Been a slide for him, but he's always resurrected in October.
Popped up. Flores looking up for it. And that retires the side. But Mookie Betts adds to the Red Sox lead. Behind in the count 0-2. He crushes one to left. 12th home run of the year for Betts. 7th inning stretch time. 3-0 Boston. Made a conversation with the home plate umpire John Tumpane. You have any idea what this is about?
I think it has to do with Joe Kelly. It sounds. He goes back in the dugout later.
Tumpane's making a motion like a pitcher set at the belt So it's got to be either about Kelly or about Robles and his quick pitching tendencies. In any event, Travis d'Arnaud leads off in the home seventh with the Mets now down 3-0, and Kelly working on a 3-hit shutout. d'Arnaud has walked and flied out today, 0 for 1. Slashes one foul, and it's 0-2.
Boy, for Joe Kelly here, he's on 94 pitches. I don't trust that bullpen. I want to go 8. Get out of Dodge with a 6th straight victory.
Well, the big inning for Kelly was the first. d'Arnaud hits one slowly, signed the ball on the charge, and throws him out, 1 away. That's in the first inning. Got Granderson to third with 1 out. Couldn't get him in. And Kelly has been in pretty firm command ever since.
Well, Mets had leadoff runners on in 4 of the first 5 innings. And he induced 2 double plays to help himself out. 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 5th.
So now Kelly Johnson, who struck out and grounded out today, 0 for 2. Let's have Eric O'Flaherty up in the bullpen after Robles pitched the top of the 7th. O'Flaherty up for the 2nd time today.
Nice.
Down the left field line, a base hit for Johnson. And he'll stop at first as De Aza gets it in quickly. And the Mets have their 4th hit of the day, their first since the 3rd inning.
Nice hitting by Kelly. Second ball he's hit hard. Last at bat in the 4th, hit a bullet at the shortstop. Here he goes with the pitch. It was away.
So the Mets with a 1-out base runner, and now Juan Uribe, who had a base hit leading off the 2nd. 1 for 2 on the day. It's funny how stretches of games stand out in the course of a long season. Mets were awful on the road earlier this year. They just come off an 8-1 road trip. They couldn't be beat at home earlier this year. Well, they've now lost 4 straight home games. They lost the 3 to the Pirates before the last trip.
And that's why they play the games.
Exactly. That's lined in left center, a base hit for Uribe, and that'll go all the way back to the wall. Johnson streaking for 3rd. He'll be waved home. It's an RBI double for Juan Uribe, and the Mets are on the board. It's 3-1 Boston. Keith made the point earlier about Uribe. He hasn't had a lot of hits as a Met, but he's been so productive.
And people were worried about his bat speed. That pitch is down and in, hard sinker in on the hands. He has not lost his bat speed, and that is not a cut and slash. That's for a rip. And Kelly Johnson with good wheels scores easy. That's a big run driven in right there. This is not a bad pitch. He gets down and gets it. Good hitting.
He attacked in a savage manner.
Amputated it.
So the tying run comes to bat with Michael Conforto. 0 for 1 in a walk. And a good changeup by Kelly to start him off.
And a very wise pitch right there. The youngster a little over anxious, trying to maybe hit a home run, tie the game.
Tommy Lane, first man up in the Red Sox bullpen. He, like everybody else out in that pen, pitched last night. Uribe at 2nd and 1 out. Mets have their first run of the game home here in the 7th. And Conforto rolls one on the right side. Holt makes the play for the 2nd out as Uribe goes to 3rd.
Pretty good pitching right there. Doggone good pitching. Excuse me. Change up away, and he comes right inside to get him. Ties him up. Good pitching.
Now Wilmer Flores gets his usual ovation. He'll come to bat as the tying run. He's the number 8 hitter. Tyler Clippard gets up alongside Eric O'Flaherty. Michael Kadire is out on deck. He'll bat for the pitcher if Flores keeps the inning going.
Big 2-out RBI right here.
takes a fastball on the outside corner, 0-1.
He takes a lot of first pitches.
There's Cuddyer on deck to pinch hit. Mets have an all right-handed hitting bench today. Uribe at third and 2 out. And Flores grounds one toward the hole. Sandoval with a diving stop, up and firing, and he got him. Sandoval saves a run. The Panda makes the earth move. And makes a terrific play to throw out Flores and keep Uribe from scoring. Mets settle for just the 1 run. It's 3-1 Boston after 7. Changes. Is she listening to music or just shielding her ears from the noise? Michael Cuddyer will play left field and bat 9th. And the new pitcher Eric O'Flaherty will hit 7th as Conforto comes out. O'Flaherty came in, got 1 batter yesterday. Retired Travis Shaw on a fly ball to end the 10th inning. They'll get 3, 4, and 5 in the Boston order. Bogart, Shaw, and Holt here in the 8th. Bogart's 0 for 3 today. It would be an understatement to say that it's been rough sledding for Eric O'Flaherty since they picked him up from Oakland. There's Bartolo Colon. We told you he was available in the bullpen today, and he's beginning to loosen up.
Well, this game it gets tied up and goes into extra innings. He's the perfect guy to have out there.
Bart pitched 7 scoreless innings in Philadelphia on Wednesday night. This is his throw day, and so he's doing his throwing now. Whether it's preparatory to come to the game or not, we'll find out. 2-1 to Bogarts. Colon has made 6 career relief appearances. His last one was in 2011 for the Yankees. Bogarts swinging at the changeup and missing. 2-2. Travis Shaw on deck. Brock Holt behind him. 2 left-hand hitters behind Bogarts. And O'Flaherty strikes out Bogarts with the changeup. 1 out and nobody on. He threw him a slider. Down the dirt. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Nissan. It's your last chance this summer to save on a 2015 Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com.
Well, Terry would love to get an inning out of O'Flaherty. Or two. Lots of left-handers.
Mets have been very patient with O'Flaherty, hoping that he could regain the form that made him so dominant during his days with the Braves. It's been elusive, though. Shaw hits one well to center. Cespedes got turned around, and it's over his head. And into second base with a double goes Travis Shaw.
Well, the toughest ball for an outfielder, this ball's crushed, is the ball hit right at you. It's the one you can tend to misjudge. And I don't know if he'd have had that ball. That ball was ripped.
So the Red Sox have their 6th hit. Shaw at second with one out. Now Brock Holt, who was 1 for 3 on an RBI on a fielder's choices last time up. And takes a slider for a strike. Jacob deGrom went 6, allowed 2 runs, 4 hits, walked 2, struck out 10. Hansel Robles worked the 7th, gave up the home run to Mookie Betts, and now O'Flaherty trying to negotiate the 8th. Knocked down by d'Arnaud. Ball and a strike to Holt.
The switch hitting Swihart in the on-deck circle is a .213 hitter against right-handers, .368 against left. So I don't think Terry's going to make a move here with Colon. I think that he's going to hope to get O'Flaherty can get through this inning.
Holt grounds one right at Johnson. And that's the second out as Shaw goes to third. Well, Brock Holt's a hustler, isn't he?
Yes, he is. It's nice to see.
I mean, he's a guy of, he's not an untalented guy, but he's a utility player. And he made the All-Star team this year. And that's a great credit to the way he plays the game. So 2 out, a runner at third, and now Swihart, who's 1 for 3 today, singled to center his last time up against deGrom in the 6th.
No home runs from the right side of the dish. I'm feeling fine.
He's thrown 97 pitches in 7 innings. They've got the bullpen cranking. I don't know whether he's out of the game or not.
I wouldn't want to come out of the game.
He's thrown as many as 118 pitches in a game this year. That was way back at the beginning of the season. So we'll see.
He's going back out there.
2-0 to Swihart. Good sinker by O'Flaherty, 2-1. Just announced a sellout today, over 43,000 on hand. 4th sellout of the year.
4th. Well,
ball 4 to Swihart, and now runners on the corners with Jackie Bradley coming up. O'Flaherty being careful with the right-hand batter. He'll get the left-hand hitting Bradley now.
And Bradley hitting .432 against lefties with a home run.
0 for 3 today, grounded out and struck out twice against deGrom. Now Colon has been throwing in the bullpen leisurely, but that's Bart. You don't know whether he's ready or not. I guess he's probably always ready.
Bartolo's always ready. He knows what to do. He's been around too long.
Slider misses outside to Bradley, 1-0. Red Sox 3 runs, 6 hits. The Mets 1 run, 5 hits. Another left-hand hitter, Alejandro De Aza, on deck. And Bradley lays off, and it's 2-0. And Dan Worthen's going to come out for a mid-at-bat conversation. You don't see this very often. Not from Dan, anyway. But this is a huge spot here. Mets are already down 3-1. 2 runners on base. Dangerous hitter at the plate, who's been more dangerous lately. And O'Flaherty behind on the count, 2-0.
What can you do? Just try to loosen them up and get them to smile and go get them. Just you and the hitter.
Mets will have Kadire, Granderson, and Cespedes due up in the bottom of the 8th. O'Flaherty trying to keep the 2-run game. Shaw at third, Swihart at first, and 2 out. 2-0 to Bradley. And there's a fastball for a strike.
I always said that left-handers, when they're behind and need an out, 2-0, they love that fastball away. It's their cold comfort. At least I used to make a cold comfort for them.
Sounds like it wasn't comfort at all, except for you. Couple of fastballs in a row, and that gets O'Flaherty back even. Two-two. First to toss to first. Swihart, who stole a base last night, drawing O'Flaherty's attention.
Oh, it's nice to see the stadium packed.
Two coming. Bradley bounces the breaking ball foul.
Lots of energy. The fans always, New York fans, Met fans, bring energy to the ballpark.
Haven't had a ton to cheer about today, but they're upbeat. 2-2. Swihart runs. Mets let him go. It's a stolen base for Swihart, his 3rd of the year, his 2nd in 2 nights.
Well, you think he'd wait for 3-2, wouldn't he?
Now Besa could play 2 runs. He's looking back all the way.
I don't no comprende. Or no comprendo.
3-2 coming. And Bradley goes down swinging. Darno makes the toss. Side retired. A big out for Eric O'Flaherty. He fans 2 in the inning to get out of trouble. 3-1 Boston in the 8th. Miami Marlins will be on the air at 7 immediately following Verizon Fios pregame at 6:30. The march to the playoffs continues right here on New York's home for baseball, Pix 11. In-game box score brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Want to rebate 2 hits, the only RBI for the Mets today. Mets down 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Joe Kelly's still out there for the Red Sox. 98 pitches deep. Michael Kadire leads off his first at bat of the day, and he fouls off the breaking ball, 0-1. Kadire came into the double switch last half inning. Started at first base last night, went 1 for 4 and a walk. Well, with the Red Sox bullpen struggling, Kelly trying to go as deep as he can. Ball and a strike to Kadire with Granderson and Cespedes to follow. Kelly trying to win his 6th straight start. And he's been on his game today, really all month.
Well, he's looking at to be what is there a pitcher of the month award?
Sure is.
6-0 for the month of August. I think that gets you there, doesn't it?
His longest outing this year, 7 1/3. He's gone 7 already. Rounds it down ball toward the middle. Bogarts with the spinorama, and he throws out Kadire. And Bogarts has made every play in this series. Made that one look easy.
Very nice. It's all about getting to the ball, showing good range to his left. The rest is easy for the athlete. Beautiful play.
Well, Torey Lovullo was on his way out to the mound. And I think that's going to be Kelly's last batter with the left-hand hitter Granderson coming up.
Really? Oh, please.
Gets a nice pat on the neck.
God.
And that's going to be all for Joe Kelly. He'll leave after 102 pitches and leave it to the bullpen. Tommy Lane coming in, called to the bullpen, brought to you by the Acura. It's that kind of summer event.
Acquired him from the Padres. Pitched 30 appearances last year.
And you saw his terrific numbers against lefties, and he's brought in to face Curtis Granderson. Probably a one-batter affair for him with Cespedes on deck. Although Cespedes has struggled against lefties, so they might leave him in. Granderson breaks his bat and fouls it off, and it's 0-2.
I think it depends on whether Curtis gets on or not, because Cespedes can't hurt you with a home run. And I agree, Gary, that Cespedes' numbers against lefties this year, with Murphy behind Cespedes, I think he's going to finish the inning, or attempt to.
So Heath Hembry, the right-hander, up in the Boston bullpen. Joe Kelly 7 1/3, 1 run, 5 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. In line for his 6th straight win. Granderson lays off the slider.
And remember yesterday, the closer Tazawa hurt his back. I don't think he's going to be available today.
And he also threw, what, 30 pitches?
Yes.
He's probably out of the mix. Kelly looking on as an interested observer. And the breaking ball in there, strike 3 call. That one came from behind Granderson.
Little side
cut
arm
across the plate.
Side armor. Gave him a little sidearm buzzsaw.
So 2 out and nobody on. And now Cespedes 0 for 3 today, 0 for 7 in the series. You know, the Mets didn't homer last night in their 6-4 loss, and they haven't homered today. Mets haven't gone back-to-back games without homering since before the Johnson and Uribe trade.
Well, that wasn't going to, that pace wasn't going to continue.
Of course, they hit 23 home runs in a 4-game series in Philadelphia, the most they'd ever hit in a series.
Well, I guess the sabermetrics guys will be saying, you out-homer the other team, you win.
Right. Let's say 23, I meant 13 home runs in the 4-game series, but that was enough. 1-1 to Cespedes with Murphy on deck. And it's inside, 2-1. Tommy Lane, 30 years old, in his 2nd year with the Red Sox. Keeps it away from Cespedes, and it's 3-1.
You can't walk him here. He can't beat you. 3-1 ball game. You know, free passes. Murph's very. You know, Murph hasn't swung the bat to that great. Hasn't had great success. There you go. A good big rip by Cespedes. Murph hitting only .235 this year, but in 1 home run. But Murph has a clue up there.
And those numbers have been coming up.
Yes, they have. And no free passes with Murph in the on-deck circle.
I think Cespedes hurt his back on that last swing.
I do too. Big, powerful swing.
See a wince there. (3-2) from Lane, and it's outside, ball 4, and the Mets will get the tying run to bat.
Well, that's a sin.
So a 2-out walk to Cespedes, and now Murphy will bat. Whatever twinge Cespedes felt on that last swing, looks like he's okay.
All right, so let's see how Lane decides to attack Daniel Murphy. Do you want to look for 2 for 1 strike for a pitch in to try to tie the ball game?
Keeps it away. Ball 1. Murph 0 for 4 in this series after a huge game Thursday night in Philly.
Murph is not a power hitter, so to me it's just hit a gapper, keep the ball, keep the line moving. Darno's behind you. Slider. Oh, fastball away.
1-1 to Murph. And he bloops one behind shortstop. Bogart's going back. And he's got it to end the inning. So Lane comes in, gets a couple of big outs, and we head to the 9th with the Red Sox up 3-1. Betts with a home run tonight. Pablo Sandoval an RBI double. Red Sox with a 3-1 lead going to the ninth, and Luku's coming on in relief for the Mets for only the 7th time in his major league career. Bartolo Colon, relief pitcher,
and first time as a Met.
461 starts, and now his 7th relief outing of his 18-year career. This is his throw day, and this was something Terry Collins planned. He'll face Alejandro De Aza to start the ninth. Colon last pitched on Wednesday night in Philly, and he was fantastic. 7 scoreless innings, 8 strikeouts. Picked up his 11th win of the year. There's David Ortiz on deck to pinch hit. De Aza today has gone 0 for 2 with a walk. And he fouls back the fastball, and it's 0-2.
91.
Well, he can go out there and throw as hard as he wants.
You want the Mets to come back in this game, but if obviously to win, but in the long haul, Clippard and Familia will not get used.
Strike 3 call. De Aza caught admiring that 2-seam fastball that came back over the plate.
Oh, he tricked him.
Alone has a strikeout.
2 straight fastballs, and now watch this little sinkage. Nice. That's just good pitching.
And the reaction now for David Ortiz, who hit a home run last night, came out of the game late with a tight left heel. He and Colon have had many battles over the years, and Colon has had the upper hand more often than not. Ortiz just 6 for 49 against Colon with 1 home run. 81 years between them, and Ortiz hits one to center field. Cespedes going back to the warning track. It's over his head, and Ortiz digging for second base has to turn on the chance of the tag, and he's just safe.
Oh my God!
Uribe alertly came over to cover the bag because both middle infielders had gone into the outfield, and the Mets almost got Ortiz at second. And we'll see whether they challenge the call.
Just a basic. I know he's got a tight heel. It's just a lack of hustle right here. Misjudged by Cespedes. Great recovery and throw.
Ortiz saw nobody covering second, so he figured he could half-step it, but then Uribe came over.
I'm sorry.
And the Mets, are they going to challenge or not? Terry Collins is on the top step.
Oh, he's out.
Mets have not yet asked for the challenge, but it does look as though Uribe might have gotten the tag on him as he stepped into the bag. Let's see.
Uribe makes the tag, slipping underneath. His feet came out from under him.
Yeah, but I don't know if he tagged him. It's real close. I don't think he tagged him, Keith. I think he missed him.
Let's see right here.
I think he missed the tag right here.
Oh.
Mets are not challenging.
Wow, so I think he got him.
They obviously don't believe they got him.
I think they got him.
Yeah, I think he missed him.
Well, all in all, not a very good effort by Mr. Ortiz.
So he'll leave for a pinch runner. Rusney Castillo will run for him. And Cespedes has had a really rough time in center field today. First time we've seen that.
Yes.
So now Mookie Betts, who homered his last time up, with Castillo the pinch runner at second, takes a strike from Colon. Betts is 2 for 4 today, a single and his 12th home run of the year. And Colon quickly ahead 0-2. Can't wait around against Bart. He's going to throw you strikes. Colon's next start is due on Monday against the Phillies. On the outside corner, and Betts caught looking just like De Aza before him.
Paint. Knees in black.
Well, we were talking in Philadelphia about Bartolo's potential postseason role. Maybe late inning reliever.
Sid Fernandez.
Never know. Now we'll face Sandoval with 2 on the runner at second. Sandoval drove in the first run of the day with a 6th inning double. And he wastes no time, fouls one off. Here's the play at second base again. Look at this angle.
Loses his footing, Uribe. Boy, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell.
We had an angle from the other side which did appear to show that he missed him. And, you know, this late in the game, for the Mets not to challenge, they must have been 100% convinced that he missed him. Because
why not?
You don't want to end the game with the challenge in your pocket if there's any chance you might get an overturned call. To Sandoval. Just missed. He's already had 2 called third strike calls in the inning, almost at a third.
Not by much.
No trying to frame it. Castillo at second and 2 out. 1-2 coming.
Colon with a nice backhand stop. Side retired. First relief outing in 4 years. Colon with aplomb. To the bottom of the 9th. Mets down by 2.
Summer clearance event. Cardinals trying to even up their series with the Giants, up 4-0 as they go to the 9th. Everything else later, including the Nationals at home against the Marlins with the Jordan Zimmerman against Tom Kohler. At 6.5 back in the Mets starting play today. Well, Gene Michie, the former Giant, is going to go for his 5th career save.
Well, it hasn't been a good year for him. He's got his 13th appearance for the Red Sox. He threw, what, an inning and a third last night? A scoreless inning, one of the few Red Sox that was successful in relief.
Travis d'Arnaud will lead off the last of the 9th. Mets down 3-1. d'Arnaud 0 for 2 and a walk today, and he takes high for ball 1.
Well, Michie is one of those guys that walks are his issue, and home runs.
He's walked 30 batters in 45 2/3 innings this year. That's crazy high. Kelly Johnson on deck, then Juan Uribe, pitcher due up 4th in the inning. d'Arnaud slices one down the line, a foul ball, 1-1. By the way, we've gotten all the way to the bottom of the 9th inning without wishing happy birthday to Noah Syndergaard, who turns 23 today, and to Anthony Recker, who turned 32 today. Happy birthday, Noah. happy birthday, Anthony. Let's try and get them a 9th inning birthday present.
That'd be great.
One and one to Darno. Right back to Machine. He cradles it. 1 out.
Oh, it's a funny game, isn't it, Gary?
Now Kelly Johnson. Well, the Red Sox have been playing well. And, you know, they won kind of an ugly affair last night. They got great pitching from Joe Kelly, who's been superb this entire month. And now their bullpen trying to lock it down. Johnson 1 for 3, scored the only Met run. And he takes up and in for ball 1. Kelly, 7 1/3 innings, 1 run, 5 hits. If this stands up, he'll be 6-0 in August. The first Red Sox pitcher in 16 years to win 6 games in a calendar month. Last to do it, Pedro Martinez, back in 1999. Reds would like to deny him that. Tommy Lane got 2 outs in the 8th. Machie has gotten the first out in the 9th. And Johnson goes after a pitch out of the strike zone, 1 and 2.
He's got that split finger, Machie. A pitch that is discouraged in today's game.
Well, Jerry's Familia has started to throw it.
I wish they
good effect.
had discouraged it when I played. I did not like that pitch.
2-2 to Johnson. 33-year-old Gene Machie. 2 saves for the Giants last year. 2 saves since coming to Boston. Those are the only saves of his big league career. They've got some large people on this Boston team, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They don't miss very many meals. If you're a visiting clubhouse guy, you better bring it.
Johnson hooks one down to first, a fair ball. And Shaw makes the play, 2 out. And so the Mets find themselves down to their final out of the night. Juan Uribe coming up. He's driven in the only Met run today, and if he can get on, David Wright would come up to pinch hit. Well, the Mets need a bloop and a blast to get themselves even here in the ninth.
They certainly do.
Uribe has 2 of the Mets' 5 hits today. A single in the 2nd, a double in the 7th. And he takes a strike on the outside corner.
Good pitch right there from Machie.
Quick pitch. Off the plate, 1-1.
Didn't miss by much.
See, everybody's got that quick pitch in their arsenal.
They're trying to deke you.
Smile from Uribe. You smile at anything. Grounder to short. Bogarts has got it. And the ball game is over. The Red Sox beat the Mets for the 2nd straight day behind terrific pitching from Joe Kelly. Big hit from Pablo Sandoval, a home run from Mookie Betts,